There's an age-old saying that I think applies to modern times because it's a saying that's been going around for a couple thousand years now. Um, I've heard it in various cultures in various different ways. Today's phrase, I guess, might have to be modified just a little bit, but that's all right because it's the same thing, just a different context. Exactly the same thing. So the golden rule, everybody knows it, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Pretty common. It's been in every culture, pretty much telling people to treat other people with mutual respect. You don't do to me, I won't do to you. You're nice to me, I'll be nice back. That type of thing, right? Well, cancel culture, as it were, does not abide by the golden rule. Instead, this outrage, cult of personality, cancel culture, whatever you want to call it, has decided to weaponize language in a way to try and control the masses. So this cult of personality tries to get you to say things like, respect my pronouns, or don't do this unless you want to be considered racist, or these are words you said 15 years ago, let me bring these up so that I can call you racist again, and try to get you destroyed. The higher the profile of the target, the funner it is, apparently. Well, Justin Trudeau is now under fire for the same thing. But he's also guilty of it. That's the amazing thing. He is a never-Trumper, if you want to call him that, and now he's in deep shit for the same thing he accuses everyone else of doing, and particularly him, as blackface, as if that is supposedly racist in the first place. Well, here's the phrase that everybody seems to be forgetting, and I think it applies to these idiots and these yahoos today. Live by the sword, die by the sword. In other words, what they've been wielding is a double-edged blade. And we've all been telling them this. Everybody that's been in the anti-SJW side, if you want to call it that, has been saying, don't be a prick. Don't be doing this. Don't go out for people for blood. Don't try to crucify everybody that you find offensive. Don't police people's speech, because it'll come around you in the end. And how many people have said, if you make laws like this, what makes you think it won't apply to you at some point? And the other phrase that has been often used, the left eats its own. It's the same context, different phraseology. That's it. It's the same thing. They are living by the sword. They wish to wield this sword, but they don't want to get stuck by it. It's a double-edged blade. They've now impaled themselves, as it were. That's the context that you're living in at this point in time. So with Justin Trudeau in particular, the reason why he's getting crucified at the altar of intersectionality is he's up for re-election, for one. He is a straight white male, and he's overzealous on his white privilege and PC culture stuff. He even, in fact, went so far to claim institutional racism for his own actions. In other words, it's not my fault, it's the institution's fault that raised me in such a way to think that this was okay. These people have no concept of psychology or sociology. So what they'll do is they'll make up some pseudoscientific shit. The social construct. Everything's a social construct. Everything is programmed into you. You're born as a blank slate, in other words. That kind of shit came from feminism. And so, too, does it make sense that they would have tried to apply the same thought? You start with the basics, you know. The way I think of these things is I drill down to their core. I find the root cause of their bullshit. In this case, the root cause is social constructive thought. Meaning that they deny evolution. Evolution never happened to the mental state and the psychology of people. Unconscious bias is literally what you've been trained to think, not necessarily is it anything to do with evolution and instinct, because instincts don't exist in these people's minds. Instincts are not there. People don't have natural inclinations. People are not animals. So when we dehumanize, another thing that irritates the living shit out of me, because they're also living by this sword and dying by it here too. When we dehumanize we're reducing ourselves to lesser animals that are not conscious, meaning we're not thinking our actions through. That's what dehumanization does. It tries to other people so that we don't have to associate with those that don't act as civil as we do. Forgetting that we're all animals and all capable of crazy shit. That's what they're trying to do. But in any case, what they're doing with this in particular social constructive bullshit at the root cause of this blackface, this whole cancel culture shit, is they believe that everyone's been programmed to behave this way, that it was socially acceptable. And just like the way YouTube applies its policies, ironically, everything is not it is retroactive. Whatever policy they decide to come up with today, whatever thing is racist today, applies to your entire history. Everything you've done in the past, all of it. It applies then. You should have known better back then to do things now, even though those policies did not exist. YouTube does this constantly. That's another gripe and a thing that I hate, because it's run by a social justice warrior. I don't know what else to call Susan Wojcicki other than the worst fucking CEO I've seen. How else can she lose $8 billion in YouTube and still think she's doing a good job? I don't quite understand that. I could do a better job than she, but she's got about 5 to 10 years on me. And according to her work history, she's had a bunch of friends in high places straight out of college. That's how she got there. Amazing. So, it is what it is. But I thought I'd point out that the Justin Trudeau bit, the Comedy Central guy that got canceled, and a bunch of other people, just all the same shit. Every single last one of them. They preached this shit. They talked this shit. They exploded this. Well, they lived by this sword. What makes you think that those that are sick of your shit, that have been the target of your ire and hatred for 20 plus years now, would not turn and flip it upon you? There's a reason why mass shootings and mass murder has been on the rise, because those people are savage that do that, but they're striking back at the society that says they're not okay to be what they are. When you have protests celebrated that it's not okay to be white, you put up a sign that's so innocuous like that, and you see viral videos of people tearing it down saying it's racist shit. What do you think's going to happen? When you have leadership that is white in a country that's predominantly white, and they preach that social justice shit, and now they're the subject of it, and they don't like the idea that they're about to get ousted out of power because they're crazy. What do you think's going to happen? The left eats its own is the common phrase that I've heard when it comes to this stuff. This is kind of true. The left does eat its own. That's because they've decided to live by the sword that they created, and now they're going to die on it. It's a double-edged blade that I'm repeating myself, of course, but I mean, this is what's happening. This is what I've seen. This is what I knew would happen. The more you push it, the more your enemies realize that they can use that same sword against you. And boy, will they. Because you guys prize this kind of outraged stupidity. You look at everybody's history and try to get a reason for them to be dissolved from history. Yet, when it applies to you, you're perfectly innocent for right now, right? This is why the young ones that are running this shit do not have the realization that what they're doing now will come back to haunt them in the future. I think it comes back to a couple things that I've seen in a couple other posts where they're deleting books off of shelves. They're throwing them away. Classic novels, they're throwing away Aesop's fables and stuff like that in favor of this other shit. I'm like, okay, show me the morals that you're trying to teach. And if you can't, how about a question for you? Why is it not okay to constantly scream rape when it doesn't happen to you? Lie about it. Where did you get that lesson? I'm pretty sure none of these people can answer that. But that's all I got to say about this, actually. Before I start going off into sideways land. These people have decided to live by the sword. Now they're dying on it. They don't like it because they're losing power. They're losing power to the people that are a little bit more rational and sane and are willing to elect a troll to make you all look stupid. And it's working quite well. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
If you don't listen to me, you're going to regret it.